Hi kiddies, welcome back to Te-Ika-A-Maui radio show. This radio show is family friendly and I actually made it for my auntie from Kahura-Anaki-Marae in Te Hoki in the Hawke's Bay because she was quite upset and stressed that somebody that she looked up to had told her that Hifakaputanga is fake. So I'm going to debunk that myth and show you by pointing out the points of interest on the Hifakaputanga. But before we start debunking the myths about Hifakaputanga, I'm just going to replay the phone recording I had with my auntie so that people can learn how hurtful it is when somebody very mindlessly spreads rumours and myths about ancestral tonga of significance, and tonga means treasures.
That's okay, Monica.
Yeah.
I bumped into a guy who has been trying to get hold of you.
Okie dokie. What's his name?
Kaipara.
Kaipara. Oh yeah, he's with the marshals.
Yeah.
Yeah. How was he? Is he good?
He is.
Yeah.
But I don't think he's very happy with you because he said that his kōrero that he talks, the Hifakaputanga, is actually null and void.
How was Hifakaputanga null and void? Auntie?
Because when they signed the papers, when all the chiefs had their signatures on it, and they signed the papers, and then they had to go from here over to England, it was changed from a treaty to or whatever it was, to a will and testament.
No.
So which is why...
That's not right, because a will and a testament, the two parties were the Tino Rangatira and the King William IV at the time. So those were the two parties. A will...
Yeah, he spoke about that.
Okay.
You need to get hold of him.
Yeah, so is he saying that...
that it's a null and void?
It's not null and void.
That the Hifakaputanga and the treaty are null and void.
Why would he say that? That's not very nice for him to say that, because how is it a will?
Because they changed it over in England with their deception, and when it came back and all the chiefs died, that's how they got all their lands. You
can't lawfully do that without all of the signatories agreeing. So thank you for telling me that, kōrero, because I'll pass it on to my team members and we'll discuss this, and then we'll give Kaipara a call.
Oh, okay. You give Kaipara a call?
Yeah, I will. I've got his details. We'll give him a call. Thank you, Auntie.
All good.
Ika, fish. Hapuku, big fish. Te hapuku te ika nui o te moana, the biggest fish in the sea. Te hapuku o te ika nui o te moana, autographed Hifakaputanga in 1839. Te hapuku te ika nui o te moana, built Kahura-Anaki-Marae in 1876. So now I'm going to debunk the myths about Hifakaputanga. Okay, so here we have a copy of the Hifakaputanga, and there's 3 pages, 1, 2, 3. The first page consists of Article 1, Article 2, Article 3, Article 4, which comes over into the second page, and then you have the signatories. And then down here you have the witnesses. So Clendon witnessed, Gilbert Mayer actually witnessed as well, and so did Busby. I can't make out if that's Gilbert or Busby's signature. But, okay, and then over here we have additional autographies. And then you've got Te Hapuku here from Kahura-Anaki-Marae and Te Hoki. And you've got Te Whirawhiro here. And they autographed in 1839, so at later dates. And you've got some others here, and you've got the dates. Okay, so the reason why I know that rumour that's been going around is a myth is because of a few reasons. Well, first of all, I have been told by other people in the past, I think it was
it's Bill Turner and Christian Crown. They said that, they told me that Paraita, or Paraita, I can't, Paraita, that he was the main signatory and that everybody else was his witness. But I went to see Bill Turner one night, and we got into this this discussion, and I said, no, that's not true, because over here we've got the witnesses, and the witnesses were Busby, Clendon, who was in the USA Congress, and Gilbert Mayer, who was like a cool guy. He was like a bit of a Pākehā hero, and yeah, so I said to Bill Turner, I said, look, I've got the Hifakaputanga, the copy of Hifakaputanga in my car. So I went out to the car and I stated a few things. The first thing I showed Bill was that these people here, these tino rangatira here, are not the witnesses for this tino rangatira, because the witnesses autographed down or signed down here. But if you look, this piece had been ripped off. So down here it says this part of the original is missing. So this part of the original is missing. So that means somebody went to the effort to, remove these witnesses. So that was one of the arguments that, that I pointed out. The other one is, if this is the main signatory, if this tino rangatira is the main signatory, how come he is not personally mentioned in Article 1, Article 2, Article 3, Article 4? And the third reason for disproving the third piece of evidence that I presented to Billy Turner was that if these tino rangatira were the witnesses for this one tino rangatira, then why would Te Hāpuku come up all the way from Te Hoki in Hawke's Bay in 1839, or Mahia, because he was, the whole Hawke's Bay he used to inhabit. Why would he in 1839 come up to autograph Hifakaputanga if he was just doing that to be a witness to this one dude? This tino rangatira here. So that kind of didn't make sense to me. Like, you don't go all the way up. In those times, there wouldn't have been aeroplanes or helicopters or whatever. It's a bit of a mission to get all the way from the Hawke's Bay to go all the way up to Waitangi. Like, it's still a mission. And it's kind of hōhā. I hate having to go all the way up there. Why can't they come down here? But anyway, to go and, act as a witness for this one tino rangatira. And also in Article 1, Article 2, Article 3, Article 4, it's very clearly defined the instructions for the mukapuna of the autographies of these tino rangatira. We all have been given a task, and that task is to meet and to write law and to maintain the laws of these islands, of these lands. And, and we were to, the tino rangatira who were the most tika. So, in order of hierarchy, you had tōhunga at the top, and because they are very wise, but you'd have the tino rangatira who would, be advised by tōhunga. And the tino rangatira would go and do the mahi and do all the, the jobs instructed by the tohunga, and they held the mana. The tino rangatira would hold the mana, but the tohunga would be advising them, and they would be kept secret. The tohunga would be in a secret location a lot of the time because they're very special. And then you have your other tribe members in the hapu, and hapu means family tribe. But what else was there? There was a few other things that I thought didn't make sense. Oh, okay, yes, that's right. So kaipara, I know, isn't exactly an expert on Hifakaputanga, so I can forgive kaipara for, sharing that myth about Hifakaputanga. But what really bothers me is, he's telling my whānau, and my whānau are new to Hifakaputanga, but they are still a party to it because they're tupuna autographed Hifakaputanga. So it's very tapu. You can't just go and give false information about things to other people. No wonder our people can't go forward because there's a lot of misinformation. People just go around in circles. You've got to tell the truth so that our people can move forward. But I can forgive kaipara because he's not an expert on Hifakaputanga, and I'm pretty certain I know who told him that Paraiha or Paraita was the main tino rangatira signatory, because it's his mokopuna who told me. Two of his mokopuna told me. But when I explained this to Bill Turner, what my reasonings were, he agreed with me. Bill Turner hadn't seen this, which I thought was quite interesting because he was one of the founding members of the Confederated Chiefs. But another thing I need to point out to people is not to confuse the Confederation of Chiefs to the Wakamingo na Hapu. Now, the Confederation of Chiefs and the Declaration of Independence, that is purely for translation purposes only. The Hifakaputanga and the Wakamingo na Hapu are the international indigenous lawful entities. And so that's why we need to, when we're dealing with law, we need to do the correct thing. And so it's very easy for our people because they are very eager to learn. Our people are very eager to learn. And so when you're very eager to learn, sometimes you might be rushing to be learning things from other people who don't hold the information, the correct information. Yeah, so here we go. There's the title of Hifakaputanga or Te Rangatiratanga or Nutarene, and Article 1, Article 2, Article 3, Article 4. The autographies, the first lot of autographies, majority were from Ngāpuhi, and then later on others from other areas of Te-Ika-A-Maui autographed as well. And so this is what we would call a tonga, a national tonga, and tonga is treasure. So there is one other reason that I thought of. Oh, that's right. So with Kaipara's story, and the story that was going around is that Paraita went to England, and he made this a will and testament for himself, and never mind any of the other tino rangatira. Now, that would be considered a kupapa, because a kupapa is selfish, but also it's unlawful, and I doubt that actually happened, because a Declaration of Independence, or the Hifakaputanga, is pretty, you cannot turn it into a will and testimony, because not without the signatories, all autographees agreeing. So I doubt that happened, because our tupuna, I know, would staunchly defend their honour, their honour and their birthright, and it doesn't make sense that they'll just give it all up to this one dude. So if that was the case, then that was a fraudulent event, and that's That's not very good. But there are a few other points that I'd like to point out, that even if your tupuna was not a party to the Hifakaputanga, it still set the precedent for other hapu and other tino rangatira. So we know that there were hapu territories, and that the hapu would have their tino rangatira, and that there was the wakamingiona hapu that the tino rangatira would meet once a year, not every week, because it was a hoha thing to go every single week. They were not meeting every single week. It was once a year, or twice a year at the most. But just because you attend a hui doesn't put you in front of everyone else. Like, I believe that for our people to move forward, we all need to be on the same page. Okay, and in saying that, there are other things other than the Hifakaputanga that would be, that we have as a protector in international law, and that one of those things is Te Moana Nui a Kiwa. Okay, and that's our territory, our ancestral territory, and our jurisdiction. We need to be using the correct words, and the correct names of our islands, and the correct names of our hapu. And that's why it's also very important not to just whāngai heaps of Pākehā into your hapu. The hapu was sacred lineage, passed down by the women, the hapu, life, pregnancy, and babies and stuff. Yeah, so I hope that was helpful, kiddies. And now I am going to stop the video. Okay, so there you go, kiddies. You have 4 pieces of evidence to debunk that myth about Hifakaputanga. And the first one is that the true signatories, the true witnesses of Hifakaputanga, had been removed from the original document. The second piece of evidence is that Paraiata Tino Rangatira is not mentioned in Article 1, Article 2, Article 3, Article 4. The third piece of evidence that you can point out to anyone who is trying to say that Hifakaputanga is null and void is that the dates. So here we have the Tino Rangatira who autographed in 1839, and some other dates here, and they wouldn't have autographed 4 years after the fact, after the 1835, just to be a witness to Paraiata. So that wouldn't have happened. And the fourth reason is that in order for a Declaration of Independence to become a will and testimony, you would require all autographees to agree, and if they were not in agreement, then that would be a false document, or a fraudulent document, or a fraudulent attempt at a genuine document. Yeah, so there you are, kids. So that's 4 reasons, or 4 pieces of evidence that you can use to debunk anybody who claims that Hifakaputanga is null and void. Our next video, I will be talking about the kupapa suppression and how I was invited to lodge that paperwork with the Executive Crown Law Office after I had written it and passed it at Waitangi. So that's going to be in the next video.
The Tino Rangatira who claims Hifakaputanga to be his personal will and testimony claims that the other Tino Rangatira were his witnesses. But this can be debunked. Number 1, parts of Hifakaputanga where the witnesses signed had been removed. Number 2, the Tino Rangatira who claims that Hifakaputanga was his will and testimony is not mentioned in Article 1, 2, 3 and 4. Number 3, the Tino Rangatira who autographed Hifakaputanga at later times, such as in 1839, would not make that effort just to be a witness 4 years after the 1835 Hifakaputanga was signed.
Number 4, the tino rangatira who claims Hifakaputanga to be his personal will and testimony committed fraud if the other tino rangatira did not agree with this, as the Hifakaputanga is a tonga. Bonus fact, the 1835 Declaration of Independence can only be used as a translation. International law only recognises the 1835 Hifakaputanga, as it is the indigenous text. The Confederation of Chiefs is not the correct entity to identify with. The correct entity to identify with is Te Wakamingia o Ngā Hapu. Te Moana Nui a Kiwa Embassy holds the official Wakamingia o Ngā Hapu registry, and we have over 13,000 native and indigenous identity card holders. Thank you for listening and watching Te-Ika-A-Maui radio show. This is a family-friendly radio show, and we encourage you to share this video for educational purposes.